Guys, how's it going? Welcome to my vlog. My name is Shaun, I'm a YouTuber from Scotland. Right now I am in Brazil, as a lot of you guys know. I want to start today's vlog by giving you a bit of background because there's a lot of new people on my channel, and the context of what I do is basically daily vlogs. I do a lot of vlogs about my life, about what I do in professional life, travel. I do a lot of travel, and that all appears in my vlog. My vlog is like a kind of daily diary of my life, and I've not really been showing that much on my channel over the last few weeks, to be honest. There is a very specific reason why a lot of the videos I've been doing over the last couple of weeks have been more kind of sit down in front of the camera and speak, rather than my usual, which is, to be honest with you, out in the streets, out and about, meeting people, exploring, adventuring. That is what my usual daily vlogs are. As I say, I've been out in Brazil over the last 5 weeks actually, and it's been really great. I love it here in Brazil, and I do spend quite a lot of time here every single year, obviously because I'm married to a Brazilian, and yeah, it's just like my second home. But I'm going home in a week's time. I'm going to go back to Scotland literally in 7 days from now. But listen, I want to talk to you guys about Brazil because it's probably the reason why I have not been doing the daily vlogs that I always used to do on my channel very much when I've been out here over the last month. I've been out of Brazil for 1 whole year, right? Over that time I think I've developed a bit of a fear, and I want to talk about that because it's quite close to my heart. Brazil is obviously a country that I spend a lot of time in. I've got a business out here in Brazil. Obviously my wife is Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, so I've got quite a lot of context to give you guys. Here in Vitória, where I live, over the year while I was away in Scotland, something really crazy happened here. The police went on strike, and basically this whole city turned into a free-for-all of crime. You know, hundreds and hundreds of people literally died over that period of time because there was no law enforcement. So a lot of the criminal factions in Vitória, in the city, and the surrounding cities, basically took law into their own hands and used that period to their advantage to basically get revenge for whatever reason on different people, and a lot of people ended up dying. And people were not feeling safe. And I watched that whole episode on the news, and it did just remind me that actually Brazil is it can be quite a dangerous country. So ever since I've come back to Brazil for this trip, it has been in the back of my mind. And also here in Brazil, it plays on the news, the main news stations, constantly about all the violent and dangerous things that happens around the country. And I think the problem is the news here that wants to show a lot of fear factor stuff to get people scared, which pushes their own political agenda on the news here. So that cannot be forgotten. But nonetheless, I'm a human being. I have emotions, I have feelings, I have fears. And when you see that type of stuff happening, which happens every single day here in Brazil, we cannot forget the kind of violent side and robberies and stuff, it does stick in your mind, and it makes you feel unease, even though I know Brazil really well. And that is the specific reason why I have not been doing the daily vlogs out and about in the streets that I used to do. The thing is, this always happens to me when I come to Brazil. The first few weeks I'm in the country, I feel uncomfortable and uneasy on the streets on my own, especially. But that does fade away over time. Like, the more time I spend here, every time I come back, the kind of fear fades away once you get used to the surroundings. And I think that happens wherever you are in the world. You go to a new place, or even a place that you know well, but you haven't been there for a while. For the first few weeks you don't feel comfortable. And that's definitely happened for me over the last few weeks here in Brazil. I've not felt comfortable out on my own on the streets. But that is starting to fade now. It's just a feeling, and it doesn't really necessarily paint a very accurate or fair picture of Brazil, because Brazil is an amazing country and I'll absolutely love it here. I need to say that. This is very important to mention. Brazil is an incredible place full of amazing people. And yes, the crime stats are bad, so this is something that we should talk about. The crime statistics in Brazil are pretty bad, and you see that just in the number of deaths. But we have to remember, Brazil is an enormous country with 200 million people. And within those 200 million people, you've got big, massive urban cities. And within those big urban cities, you often have areas around the outsides which tend to be more impoverished and controlled by gangs and stuff. And that tends to be where more of the violent crime and stuff happens. Here in the main cities, in the kind of middle class, upper class neighbourhoods, it's actually pretty rare for anything bad to happen. But that's not to say that it couldn't. So let's just talk about Brazil and how safe it is, because a lot of people ask me this who are coming to Brazil for the first time. They want to come here and experience it as a tourist. You will have heard over the last couple of weeks there was a British couple on holiday in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro. They hired a car in Rio and they drove to, I think they were driving to a beach city called Paraty, which is about, I think, 100 kilometers roughly from Rio, the city. On the way there, or on the way back, I can't remember which one, they took a wrong turn. They looked for a place where they could buy water, and they ended up going into a favela, like a shanty town. They came across a drug gang, and that drug gang basically gave them instructions that they did not understand because they do not speak Portuguese, and consequently the woman who was in the passenger seat, the British woman, she got shot. Luckily and thankfully she didn't die, but she ended up in hospital in a serious condition for a while. So that just goes to show you the kind of dangers you could end up in Brazil if you don't know it. The thing about Brazil is, yes, there are places that are dangerous, there's places that are safe, but you need to know the difference. You need to know Brazil well. So for people who have never been here before, it's very advisable to stick to the well-known trodden tourist paths. Like, coming here to Brazil, actually, for a first time, without speaking any of the language and hiring a car is probably quite risky, to be honest. That is something that is risky and probably should not be attempted. If you know the Brazil well, like I do, like it's fine to drive. I drive here in Brazil often, but you need to know it. You need to stick to the roads that are, you know, main roads, basically. And not drive at night, which is quite important, and don't all go off into neighbourhoods like shanty towns, favelas. It's not advisable because that's some of the things that could happen to you. And the second thing, and this is what everybody tells me, and actually if you look back at my vlogs from a couple of years ago when I was living here in Brazil, a lot of people who are Brazilian noticed that I was vlogging on the street with my cameras. Like, I would literally walk around the streets holding my big vlogging camera, and people would comment down below, "Listen man, you are a foreigner quite clearly in Brazil, do not be carrying that camera around the street like that vlogging." Hundreds of Brazilians commented this on my channel at the time, like literally hundreds, saying please do not vlog on the streets like that, it's dangerous. Like I said, I think if you are in the middle and upper class neighbourhoods, like any normal neighbourhood here in Brazil, in the main cities, if you're walking around, it's safe, but at the same time you don't want to draw attention to yourself. And the way you draw attention to yourself here in Brazil is by carrying valuable objects around the street. Fancy watches, rings, jewellery, and cameras. Now, if I'm vlogging, I'm carrying a camera, you know, around like this. Not necessarily this big one, but a big vlogging camera nonetheless. And it does draw attention. And that is one of the reasons I have not been vlogging, guys. There might always be a small, very, very small number of people roaming the streets looking for opportunities, right? Day and night. And usually they go around on either bicycles or motorbikes or scooters. And they might just be driving around and they might find someone either on their own or with flashy gear like a camera. And those are the types of people that will be targeted. When you're walking around the streets, places like Rio, for example, Rio is a prime example because it's actually one of the more notorious cities here in Brazil. I think if you're walking the streets, it's important not to go alone, especially at night. You know, places like the Copacabana Beach, Leblon, they are neighbourhoods which can be safe, but they can also be dangerous as well if you are unwise. So, top tip in Brazil, in cities like that, don't go alone. And do not flash anything. Slight controversy. Mobile phones are actually probably one of the most common things that you get robbed off you in Brazil. People, if somebody does stop you, they'll just say, listen, give me your phone now. And you must comply with that order. Do not ever give any back chat. Don't stutter, don't hesitate. Give them a phone. But at the same time, everybody in Brazil has a smartphone now. Almost everybody. If you walk on the streets, I'm not kidding you, you can walk anywhere in this neighbourhood where I'm in Vitória right now, walk to the beach. You'll see everybody taking selfies on their phone, on the streets. iPhones, Samsung Galaxies, all that kind of nice phones, expensive phones, and they are expensive here in Brazil. There's a thing about not flashing anything on the street, but there's also a thing about living. Like a mobile phone, a smartphone is a very important point of everybody's life now. You know, everybody uses them, and here in Brazil, people are using them on the street. So I think it's absolutely fine to take your phone on the street. In terms of me and vlogging, as I say, because of all the things that happened here in Vitória over the last 6 months with the police going on the strike and all the crazy purge that happened over the weekend that followed, I was a bit spooked. And it's also the reason why, as I say, I have not been vlogging. I've not been out in the street with my camera. I just don't feel comfortable. But as I say, time has moved on. I've been here for 5 weeks now and I feel better about it. I think the thing is, I'm still not comfortable going around with a big camera. It's probably not sensible holding a big camera like that on the streets, vlogging, anywhere in Brazil. Like, we just have to face realities. But as I say, everybody has a phone. Lots of people taking selfies on their phones out in the street, on the beach. I think I can vlog with my phone on the streets. So that is what I'm going to do. I've not got much more time here in Brazil at the moment. I'm going to be here for another week. But I want to vlog. I want to show my life here in Brazil. Like, we live here every year for a couple of months at a time. I want to show more of it on my vlog. Like, I've done loads of Brazil vlogs on my channel in the past. Go and check them out. And it was fine. But mostly I was using my iPhone to record the footage because it is quite a normal thing to carry on the streets here. So I think that's what I'm going to get back to. I'm going to vlog again, but mostly on the phone. I have not been vlogging over the last 5 weeks I've been here. I have been doing more kind of in-home, speaking to camera videos, which have been great. I love them. I love talking about Outlander, Scotland, cultural stuff, Brazil even, but I want to get back to doing what I do on this channel, which is daily vlogs. as well. So I'm going to do more here in Brazil, that is a promise. Starting today actually. We're actually about to go to the beach in Guarapari and I'm going to take the camera and do a bit of vlogging. I'm also going to continue to do my speak to camera vlogs as well. Like, they are a big part of my channel now and I'm going to see if I can find some intersectionality between them. But as I say, that's it. I'm going to get back to vlogging, back to my roots on this channel. Next week I'm going to New York City for a day on Monday. I will be there and I'll be doing a vlog, and also going back to Scotland the day after, where I have got some really exciting things planned for the end of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and a few other surprises relating to Outlander that I think you guys are going to love. But yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to talk about Brazil. Like, it's something that a lot of people ask, what is Brazil like? Is it dangerous? And the answer is, it can be, and it's not at the same time. You just have to be sensible, guys. It's a place where you can I've never been robbed here. Most of my friends, like, I can't remember the last time any of my friends were robbed. So just something to pay attention to, and answering a very common question about Brazil among tourists. I'm going to take advantage of a little bit of nice weather. It has been terrible weather all winter here. This is the middle of winter in Brazil, but today the temperature is forecast to go up to 30 degrees and we're going to take advantage of it. That is crazy.
There's another one.
This, guys, is a fast highway that we're driving on. Alright, we're here in Guarapari. Nice and warm for once. It's good to be back here in Guarapari. We're actually going to make it to the beach this time because the weather is nice. The sea is a bit angry behind me. See the waves? So I'm not sure I'm going to be doing any snorkeling, but I've brought my goggles just in case. Finally, Brazil, some sunshine, some beach. I've been waiting for this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. Happy, happy days. Did I bring my sunglasses? I don't even remember. Let's get my pasty white skin out into the open air. Get into the ocean. Bet it's cold though, it's always cold here. Woo! It's cold! And I'm out. Good night. Ice lolly on the beach. This one is baby milk flavour. Delicious. Alright, it's the end of the day in Guarapari. We spent a few hours on the beach, but it got pretty cold. So we're going to head back to Vitória now. We did manage a quick stop off, of course, at Shaun Alexander, my favourite cafe in the world, where they have the most delicious lemon pie in the world. Like, no comparison. But listen, I couldn't come to Guarapari and not have a lemon pie. Like, impossible. Anyway, I'm going to get on the road now, back to Vitória. And thanks to the owner of Shaun Alexander for the torta de limão. Absolutely amazing, as always. Cool day in Guarapari. I didn't go in the water. Tekka did. It's just too cold.